Good afternoon. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to present DeRoyal's journey to becoming a more resilient supplier, especially in such trying times. A little bit about me. I am the Senior Vice President of Information Technology at DeRoyal. I have been with the organization for 3 decades, and during that time, I spent most of my career doing software solution implementation, along with business process improvement. So it's given me an opportunity to see a lot of different sides of the business and see how we can do things better as a company. We are in the healthcare business. We definitely are working to improve care and improve business at present. We are a privately held company that has been in the healthcare industry for 45 years. We manufacture in 21 different facilities domestically and mostly in Central America. We have 24/7 production, and we supply to all countries and continents at present. We have about 25,000 SKUs, which is both a blessing and a curse, and we have almost 2,000 employees. We provide orthopedic soft goods, bracing, those type products, surgical accessories, including patient and provider protective gear, wound care, and even healthcare technology to help manage inventory in hospitals, surgery centers, and physician offices. So let's talk about how we got started on this process. We set out with a goal to provide better customer service levels, and that led to our infamous bubble chart. So we looked at what are the different inputs into better service levels, making a product on time, managing our sales orders, managing our inventory allocation, how to have a robust and resilient supply chain. And we kept going back to one particular area, and you'll see that in the red bubble there, which is a better number picker. To use a very layman's term, we needed a better way to forecast. And so we looked at all the different pieces and inputs, and we said, well, this is really kind of our first thing that we need to tackle so that we can have better service levels. So let's talk about where we started. We were a prior DeMantra user. We had implemented DeMantra in 1999 and made minimal changes to that. Unfortunately, that system was extremely customized, and because at the time we felt like we knew better than what we were being told to do, and so our supply chain planners had decided that this is the way we should do things, and so we customized the system to do what we thought it should do. We also had a single point of failure. We had one particular person that was the keeper of the system, and they were the only person who really understood things start to finish. So what that person was doing every single month was printing out about 300 pages double-sided of proposed forecast information on all of our items. Remember, 25,000 SKUs. And so on the first day of the month, once the plan was generated, they would start out going through that report. And at some point during the month, they would get pulled off to something else because, again, this is not their only job. And they would stop and no longer continue working down that process. Next month, the process continued, so forth and so on. The individual that was responsible for this was held very in high accountability for back orders. And so their natural bias was that the forecast that was being produced was low. So that every month they spent time basically increasing the forecast and the number that the number picker had given them. We didn't have any input from sales and marketing at that point because no one wants to look at a 300-page double-sided report to determine what needs to be forecast. In addition, we're a highly distributed business, so 80% of our orders go through distribution, and therefore the distribution trends can vary from what our end-user customer demands are. In addition, because no one wanted to look at that 300-page report or go through item by item, we didn't have a formal S&OP process. Back in 1999, we put something in place, and after a few months, our marketing folks and our sales personnel said, look, this is just a complete and total waste of my time. You're going to do what you want to do anyway, so I'm just going to spend these 3 hours doing something that's more productive in my particular area. Let's talk about our journey. We decided to use Oracle Demand Management Cloud. We had ventured into the cloud before. We are a J.D. Edwards Enterprise One customer, and we have done a lot of work in the on-prem side there. We have other cloud applications, and we looked at both on-prem and cloud for Oracle Demand Management and DeMantra, and decided for a couple of reasons that I'll mention later that Oracle Demand Management Cloud was the best solution for us. One of the things I like about cloud is the fact that it really, especially with Demand Management Cloud, it really takes the best of all the worlds, combining what Oracle, demand management, Mantra, all the different features and functionalities that are most important get put into cloud. In addition, in my opinion, it forces a best practice model because the flexibility and functionality that we customized in our earlier plans we didn't have the ability to do that moving forward. So we did have some times when people really challenged the best practice implementation. And the great thing, and Anil mentioned this earlier, they have people in industry or who have been in industry. And so we were able to gain the trust of our users to say, this is going to work. Trust me, you've got to, I promise that it will work this way. We just need to go stick with the best practice implementation. In addition, we finally staffed a demand planning position to say that this is this person's number one goal. Now, remember, we're a 45-year-old company with 25,000 SKUs, and we should have had a demand planner on staff for many years, but now it became a priority. In addition, we really wanted to have a review by exception. It is not feasible for someone to look at 25,000 SKUs every month, and we wanted to change that to an exception review so that they could go through and see the things that had the most impact to our customers, the highest impact to our bottom line, the things that changed our inventory valuation most heavily. So this review by exception was real important to us. And as I mentioned earlier, we had a highly customized, we know better mentality on the forecast algorithms that were taken into place. And so we really pushed hard to make sure that we did our forecast going forward based on statistical models that were available to us in Demand Management Cloud. Very little input from the field and from other departments was a problem. And so we actually built in integration with Salesforce.com and JD Edwards, our single source of truth, for additional measures so that we could see new product introduction information. We could see opportunities being tracked in Salesforce and where they were in their pipeline so that we could determine how that was going to impact our future forecast needs. And we also decided that now's the time to educate everyone on what a true S&OP process is and to train people to understand what that process is rather than an individual review of SKUs. In addition, we decided that from a strategic standpoint, we know where we want to be. We're just not quite sure how we want to get there. And so we engaged in an executive strategy planning session to help us better define those areas. So let me show you a little bit about what we do each and every day and each and every month. So on a daily basis, we have, again, in the gray, our single source of truth, JD Edwards Enterprise One. We take information from there, including items, hierarchies, bookings history, sample history, etc., and we input that into Oracle Demand Management Cloud. We run our plan refresh, review any new products, review any exceptions, and then send that approved forecast back to our JD Edwards MRP MPS system every day. Now, as you can imagine, especially during trying times such as now, it's very important that we understand that patient and provider protective gear is probably more important right now than bracing because we're not having sports injuries due to no sports in a lot of areas. So this allows us to react very quickly to changes in our demand and changes in supply, frankly. In addition, you'll notice on the right, we again consider JD Edwards our single source of truth. So even field adjustments coming in through the pipeline and through inquiries to our sales reps are going through JD Edwards and into Oracle Demand Management Cloud. On a monthly basis, we take that same information and we run our statistical forecast engine. We do a couple things differently during this time. We do an exception review by demand planner. We have a 2-day dead period, and we've managed to do this in 2 days ever since we've gone live, which is just phenomenal considering that it used to take us, a month, and it didn't happen completely. But we have this exception review and look at the outliers, so to speak, to say, here are the things that we need to adjust. Here's the things that we need to look at and know that we need to change now. We also look at other measures because remember, our sales reps are inputting their pipeline and their demands, and marketing's putting new products in, and our international team or our OEM team are also giving us input so we can review those other measures. And something we had never done before was we analyzed our forecast accuracy. So we looked back to say, how do we do compared to what we thought we were going to do 3 months ago? How do we do last month compared forecast versus sales, so forth and so on. And then again, that information is fed in, and our supply side comes from MPS and MRP and JD Edwards. So our journey started in April of last year. We had a great participation and a great team overall from both DeRoyal and Avada, and we did make our CRP sign-off. I think part of what we always deal with when we're implementing the systems is employee acceptance. And so we really took the time to make sure everyone was educated and that we had, made sure that their fears were managed and that they were a part of the process. And so our CRP took place as per the planned timeline. In addition, we had a strong technical team, and so our system integration testing took place in June. And then our user acceptance testing actually took place with no outside assistance, and the DeRoyal team actually navigating and performing the UAT because we felt like that we understood things well enough at that point. As we went into a go live, we actually decided we wanted to do a 4-week parallel process. So we got about 2 weeks into that parallel process, and the supply chain folks came to me and they said, Angie, can we please go live now? And I'm like, what? I thought we were going to do a 4-week parallel. And they're like, look, we've done this for 2 weeks. Everything coming out of DM Cloud is so much better than what we have now. And so we're spending a lot of time doing double duty. So we'd really like to change things now. So I think that's a true statement of how well this worked, in the fact that when people a lot of people want to hold on to old systems. Our crew did not want to hold on to old systems. They wanted to move forward with bigger and better things. So our outcomes. The cloud implementation definitely increased our speed of value. I call this better, more cost-effective, and faster. I hate to use the word cheaper because it's not cheaper from that standpoint. And I don't want to minimize the value of it, but I want to say it did allow us to get to value much more quickly. We certainly have a better opportunity now to focus on our outliers. We probably reduced our time. Again, we went down to 2 days on a full review, but our administrative time was reduced by about 40% throughout this review process and throughout the looking at the forecast and looking at the outliers. The fact that we're able to measure and check for accuracy is huge for us because that lets us know what we need to change going forward. And the fact that we're having both marketing and sales provide input allows us to hold them accountable for increased inventory or for maybe not meeting a demand, but it gives us a sense of continuous support and accountability for the entire team. One of the things that we took the time to do was a data review and cleanup. I know a lot of people think I don't have time for this. It was huge. It allowed us to look at measures and hierarchies that we didn't necessarily need, or maybe we needed 10 years ago, but we don't need now. So that was something that was very, very healthy for us. The fact that we defined this demand planner role and staffed that was huge because now we have a single source of truth as far as that's concerned. This has allowed us to make a more accurate definition of the demand on our manufacturing facilities. Before, again, the heavy bias toward being under forecast caused us to be over forecast. And we have seen our inventory levels begin to decrease over time. And now we're in the process of defining a formal S&OP process. So in conclusion, cloud afforded us the opportunity to quickly see return on our investment and really focus on the entire process. Because if you remember, the bubble chart showed the better number picker only has one element. So we were able to take that excuse or that option out of the equation and move to the point where we could actually focus on more than just demand management.